Hello and welcome to my class, to my training, How to Balance Responsibilities in Your Relationships. Thank you so much for coming along. Thank you so much for taking the time to come to this class and be with me and trust me to guide you through this information. Today, I'm going to be talking about the skills that create balance in our relationships. And I'm also going to help you understand what might be standing in your way of using these skills. While people are joining, I'm going to give you a rundown of what you can expect from today's training. Expect to be on for around 45 to 60 minutes. I'm going to be coaching live at the end, so get your questions in the Q&A box. Your privacy is very important to me. Only I will see these questions, and you can even ask them anonymously, so I won't know who's even asking the questions. So as the training goes along, just get those questions, anything that comes up in that Q&A, and I'll answer everything at the end. I'll stay on for as long as possible and get all your questions asked. First, before we get started, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and how I came to be doing what I'm doing. So my name is Naomi Stonier, and I am a life and marriage coach. I trained at the Tony Robbins Coach Training School, but most importantly to me anyway, this is a journey I have taken myself. I've used these skills to change every relationship in my life and improve life in general. So, my passion is teaching you the skills that your parents did not model for you that make relationships and your whole life a hell of a lot healthier and happier, because nobody teaches us this stuff. No one teaches us how the crazy human brain works, how emotions are created, how to keep communicating when you're upset. So the bad habits passed down the generations forever. It's no one person's fault. But the good news is these are just skills you can learn like any other skill. Great relationships, strong, supportive relationships are not down to personality type or luck. This is not about how successful and clever you are. These are just skills you can learn. I spent decades struggling with this stuff, believing I was some kind of faulty human being until I learned these skills. Life is a very different place for me now, and I believe so deeply in these skills, in this work, that now I do this for a job, and I've walked hundreds of people through this process and into healthier and happier relationships. So, today we're talking about balance, how to balance responsibilities in relationships, because the feeling of imbalance in our relationships is a problem I see a lot in my coaching. So one person feels like they're doing all the heavy lifting, while the other person feels controlled and criticized. Okay. And when we have this dynamic in our relationship, communication is also unbalanced. One of you is pushing for answers while the other one's retreating and shutting down. And this is not a great dynamic. You want to solve this dynamic, because relationships generally don't last when we've got the pursuer retreater dynamic. So it's really important that you do something about this. And first thing to acknowledge is that this dynamic is the reason you guys got together. Yeah. So not this dynamic, but these personalities. So one of you's a lively and dynamic person, while the other one's more steady, more laid back, calmer, relaxed. Okay. And this is what you love about each other. Opposites attract. This is why you're together. But what we must get really aware of is that these traits, or the shadow side, the downsides of these traits, of these personality types, these traits get more intense under pressure. So our coping mechanisms under pressure of these two different styles of interacting with the world start to clash. Okay, and it causes problems. Now, the person I see the most in my coaching is the doer. in the relationship. And I call these people my get stuff done people. So I'm going to talk to this person. I know there's a lot of you on this call. There's a lot of entrepreneurs on this call. So this work is going to be very useful for you in your businesses as well as your relationships. Okay. And so I'm going to talk about this person, and whether you are this person or you live with this person, that what I'm going to teach you today is going to help you learn to sidestep the clashes, understand the clashes. So it's much easier to sidestep them when we understand them. So you can keep communicating and connecting and getting on the same page, dealing with this stuff together as a partnership. Okay, so the first thing to understand is this is a superpower. My get stuff done people are incredible people. This is a superpower. I don't want to change this about you. This is a brilliant quality of yours, but everything has a downside. And when your strength gets too strong, it becomes a weakness. So to ensure that you're always the one in charge, can be a bit like a runaway horse, ensure that you're the one in charge, you have to understand that this isn't happening to you. Okay? So on a bad day, it feels like everyone's dumping on you. It feels like people don't care. They've left it all to you. That's how it feels on a bad day. But there's actually more to it than that. And the first thing to get really clear on and to take accountability for is that this is an identity. And it is an identity that benefits you because we are rewarded for this identity, the identity of a get stuff done person, a problem solver. We are rewarded for this in society. In our culture, overworking is celebrated and respected. On the other hand, overeating, overdrinking, overspending, it's all frowned upon. Overworking is rewarded and respected. So you have to understand this is an identity that feels good. It makes you feel significant and important. This is the busyness hierarchy. The busier we are, the more important we are. Okay? So it's an identity that feels good. It also feels good helping people. It also feels good when people come to us for help. It feels good to solve problems. So on a good day, when you've got all those plates spinning and it's all flowing, this feels good. So you have to understand this is how we create it. The second way that this serves us is that it's being a doer, being a get stuff done person is a form of emotional management. You do to feel in control. You do to manage your uncomfortable emotions. So think about it. You're worried about your business, or you're worried about work, you're stressed about work. You do more to feel better, to feel in control, to feel like you're managing, you're coping, you're doing a good job. Secretly worry you're a bad parent, you micromanage the kids, you monitor the kids more closely. It's the illusion of control. Only when that to-do list is done can you relax. Okay, so a really common phrase I hear in my coaching is, if I don't do it, it won't get done. Okay, that's a phrase I hear a lot, along with, it's just quicker if I do it myself. Those are the two phrases I hear a lot of in my coaching. And this feels like a fact. And I'm usually given lots of evidence. No, Naomi, I'm not doing this. It's happening to me. Look, here's all the evidence. Here's all the times where I didn't do it and it didn't get done, or it didn't get done properly. It was chaos. I had to step in and do it. I'm always given lots of evidence. And when I'm given that evidence, I help my clients understand that these thoughts are not facts. They're actually predictions. You're predicting, if I don't do it, it won't get done. And you're fearing that things won't get done properly. Everything will fall apart if you don't keep things going. And that feels very uncomfortable. And so to process that uncomfortable feeling, that anxiety of things not getting done and then not getting done properly, what happens is you step in to do it. And so that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People get used to you stepping in, and so they don't do it. And so it doesn't get done, so you step in. So it's a vicious circle. So knowledge of the problem is transformational. Knowledge, understanding what the true problem is transformational. So when you understand the part you are playing in this dynamic, and you stop believing it's happening to you, and you stop believing it's because your partner or your family members don't step up, and you understand the part you're playing in it, once you're aware of the part you're playing in this, and you can see how the choices and decisions of the way you communicate creates this dynamic, your brain will automatically stop doing it. So knowledge of the true and real problem is transformational. Okay, so that's one way this identity serves you and helps you feel okay and in control. The other key thing to understand is the downside to it when it's working against you, the downside to it. Because when life is going well, when you've had enough sleep and you're on top of your game, your superpower is amazing. It's brilliant. It feels good. Everything gets done. Everyone's happy. It's great. But when the pressure's on, you need a bit of help. Maybe you get sick or there's too much to do. That's when it becomes a problem. And so, like I said, knowledge of the problem is transformational. So understanding when this is your identity, when this is your way of feeling safe in the world, this is how you make sense of the world, this identity. So that means if you have the identity of a problem solver, you must have a constant stream of problems in order to keep that identity. So this is why you have the constant experience of firefighting. Okay, this is like life is going, it's moving fast, and you're just firefighting, barely keeping up, because it's your identity. This is why no matter how hard you try, you seem to get in you keep having drama with loved ones. This is why. Okay, because you are assuming responsibility for everything with loved ones. You don't realize you're doing it, but you're assuming responsibility because it's your identity, because it's your way of managing your emotions. And that means you don't put in boundaries. Okay. So this puts you at the mercy of life. If the only way you can relax is by having a tidy house and a done to-do list, life will be a never-ending tyranny for you. And it means that when your loved ones are not bothered by these things, you resent them. So we've all had the experience of a loved one stretched out on the sofa when the house is a complete bomb site, and how resentful we feel that they just seem to be oblivious of everything that needs to be done, and they're just chilling on the sofa. So we really resent others when they don't operate like this. And then, of course, we try to change them and organize them, and we can't control other people. So it's absolutely exhausting. Now, remember what I said, knowledge of the problem is transformational. This information is going to set you free because it's going to help you understand your part of the dynamic. And if you're living with someone who does everything, this helps you stop taking this personally and have a lot more compassion, and it will help you sort of push through and step up even when they're doing everything at a million miles an hour. So, like I said, you'll be assuming responsibility for everything and you won't realize this is happening. And when you're assuming responsibility for everything, you unintentionally communicate the following to the people around you. And that is, I don't trust you and I don't rate you. Okay. So when you do everything and other people and you're doing everything, and it means others don't get involved, what you're saying is, I don't trust you to do it. I have to do it. And when you are saying, I have to do it because it's got to be done properly, you're communicating, I don't rate you. Okay. Now, how you'll know, this is the kind of response you'll get when you communicate this. You'll do everything and no one appreciates it. You'll ask for help and you won't get it. And you'll help your loved ones and they'll get annoyed. Yeah. So people feel when we're communicating, I don't trust you and I don't rate you. People feel controlled, they feel criticized, they feel it is pointless to help because they'll only get it wrong. So what's the point? They won't do it right. And so if you are on the receiving end of someone who has this identity and this way of managing their emotions, your job here is to see through, to see past this unintentional communication. Your job here is to understand that when this ramps up, it's because your partner is stressed, and it's about taking the time to connect with them and say, is everything okay? Can I help? Let me be involved. You have to step up and you have to push through. Don't take it personally. Depersonalize this, and you have to step up and say, hey, I want to be involved in this. Let's figure out a way to do this together. So one of you's thinking the other's lazy and not capable and selfish, and you have to depersonalize that. And the other one's saying, oh God, they're never happy. They're always criticizing. They can never sit down. You have to stop doing that. You have to stop dismissing and saying your partner's fussing. Okay. And this information helps you to do that. So, like I said, a really common experience I see in my coaching is of the very painful experience of I did all of this and they didn't even thank me. In fact, they got annoyed with me. That's a very painful experience for my clients. And this happens when you're unaware that you've unintentionally taken over, okay? And your loved one is letting you take over because in the short term, it's the easiest thing to do. This is a dance you guys are doing that you don't know you're doing. And it only takes one of you to stop doing this dance to totally switch this dynamic. I see it every day in my coaching. And I'll give you an example of this. I had a client moving in with their elderly parents. So 2 houses are getting sold and they're buying a third one. Incredibly stressful. People moving out of properties they've been in for decades, very emotional. House sales were falling through. And my client, her superpower was moving against her. And the way to deal with the intense pressure and all the uncomfortable emotions was just to ramp it up and to just go to, and this is a real the phrase that I hear a lot, you just got to get through this. Once we get through this, we'll be okay. But no, when you're a doer, a get stuff done person, a problem solver, once you get through this, there'll be something else to get through because that's the way you operate. So learning to process the very uncomfortable emotions of stepping back, letting go, stop trying to force things through, and looking at the bigger picture of this, what's the most important thing, that the house sale goes through as quickly as possible, or that we do this as a partnership because we're all going to be living together. So being aware of all of this stuff and all the unintentional communications, it is enough to sidestep it. But Naomi, how do I become aware of it? I understand. I work with my clients in 3 simple steps. First, awareness. And your warning signs are, I've got to, I need to, I must, I should. These sentences are warning signs to start getting curious, to start questioning. And why is it that you feel this way? What are your values and beliefs? What are the generational bad habits? What are the people around you like growing up? This is usually learned behavior. Either you had someone around you who was a do or was a get stuff done person, and you've learned that behavior, or you've had experiences growing up where you were taught, the message you received was, I've got to look after myself. I can't rely on anyone. Okay. So my clients are discovering all these generational behaviors all the time. So I've got a client right now who's working on this very strong value, which feels like a really great value. You must always step up. Someone's in trouble, you got to step in, you got to step up. Sounds like a really great value, doesn't it? But the problem, the way it's working against my client and their relationships is it's creating expectations, because no two belief systems are the same. So you always step up, you always step in, you always go the extra mile. But when the other person doesn't do the same, you feel disappointed and hurt. So this is an expectation. When our expectations are not met, we blame the other person. We feel hurt and disappointed. We blame the other person. And this is your own expectation. So it's really simple work to become aware of your value. And then you can choose to step up or step in without expectation or hope that anyone will do the same for you. You can just choose, this is who I am, and not expect it from anyone else. Or you can decide, oh, I'm going to have a few boundaries around this. I'm going to look after myself. When this was her identity, she was always stepping up, stepping in, because she had to do that to have this identity to be validated. I had another client who came into coaching with a really strong value. If you say you're going to do it, then do it. And that came from experiences when they were younger of people who said they were going to do stuff and didn't do it. So this was a really strong phrase, and effectively this person was testing everybody. Are you going to do it? You said you were going to do it. You're going to do it. And you're testing people, and if they fail, you make it mean something. And for this person, the dynamic that had been created in their relationship was the partner just agreed to do it to keep them happy, and then it didn't get done. And so then routinely, you're letting me down, you're breaking my rule, it means you're a bad person. So they had to do a lot of work to question this and see how it was really having a negative effect on their relationship. So, you must know that your rules, all these rules and these values and beliefs, they feel so real and strong and true and reasonable, but in fact, they are totally arbitrary. You are like a junkyard, just collecting this stuff up. You don't even realize you've collected half of it. We are collecting, we absorb in what we were raised with. Even the stuff you promised you'd never do, it will show up, I'm afraid, under pressure. So understand that this is just arbitrary. This is just opinion. No two belief systems match. There's no reason or system to any of this. It's completely random, and it will really help you to be flexible and open in your communication. It will really help you understand why you're finding stuff so difficult. This will help you to manage your emotions, get aware of your coping mechanisms. There's no right or wrong coping mechanisms. One person's up at 5 a.m. working out, cracking on with their to-do list. The other one's scrolling on socials and eating Kit Kats. There is no right or wrong system. There are benefits, pros and cons to either coping mechanisms. And if you get aware of your judgments, take accountability, own that your way is not a fact, it's not the right way, it will really lower the pressure and open the conversation up. And once you have used these 3 steps to manage your emotions and lower the pressure and depersonalize what is going on, you will communicate so much better. And here is how you can change your communication. So, number 1, when you're upset, describe your feelings, talk about the situation, not about your partner or your family member. So, for instance, there's dirty washing all over the floor. You're such a slob. Okay, shifting from that to when there is washing, when there are dirty clothes on the floor, it makes me feel really stressed. Could you put it all in the wash basket next time? Okay, it's a simple shift. I promise you, used consistently, it will change everything in your life. I see it every day. Okay, Explain your positive need. What would help you right now? Your partner is not a mind reader. You have to tell them how they can help you. Don't make it a problem that you have to tell them. And you will have to tell them regularly, okay? In every situation is different. We think they should know. I've already told them this, but every situation is different. I had a partner who was really butting head over financial uh, beliefs, values, and rules. This person had been brought up on government benefits, so really poor. They had to really watch every penny, and they vowed never, ever, ever to be in that situation again. They were never going to sort of watch them pennies, and they were going to, if they wanted to buy something, they were going to buy it. So when their partner asked them to watch their spending, it was, it created a lot of difficult emotions for them. And they were launching an attack. You don't control me. You don't tell me what to do. And when you launch an attack, the only thing you will get is defense. So I helped this client to switch that language to, this is my experience. This is why I find this difficult. Please, can you talk about how you feel about finances? Don't describe me. If you are worrying about money, talk about how you're feeling about the money, and don't talk about what I am or aren't doing. Just explain yourself. And they guided them to communicate in this way, and it really lowered the tension. So, another example I've got is, I've had a terrible day at work. When I've had a terrible day at work, I feel much more sensitive about the state of the house. Please, can you help me? Can you just clear those dishes? That will just help me. Just that alone will help me. And when you talk like this, there's no defense. And then when you're ping ponging between attack and defense, you can't have an open conversation. You have to slow things down and ask yourself, why is this important? What is the bigger picture here? With that client of mine moving in with elderly parents, throughout the roller coaster ride, the intensity of this situation, a one house falling through on the brink of completion, and having to go again, find something else, having to put everything in storage. They just did the continual work of zooming out to the bigger picture, the long-term picture, which was living with my parents, supporting them through illness, all being together, keeping that vision of that communal space together, being with them. And that was the most important thing. And they just kept refocusing on that to get them through the hard times. And the last one is, where can you be flexible? When we feel taken for granted, when we already feel we've given up so much, we get stuck in a deadlock, okay? It all becomes a game of monitoring and measuring. It all becomes about winning the argument. And this is a zero-sum game, okay? This is a race to the bottom. You really want to switch this dynamic. You can sidestep this dynamic. And from here, compromise feels very difficult. It feels like submitting and giving up ground. And to overcome this, you can completely disarm your partner by getting clear on what they do well and praising them for it. Thank you for what you've done for me. Get clear on where you can be flexible and present this to your partner. I promise you this will completely disarm them. It will totally switch the dynamic if you are willing to stick with it. This is not an overnight fix. This is not try this for a week or two. This is consistent, small, simple shifts that over time add up to create big change. Now, there is a secret that no one tells us, and that is, it only takes one person to change a relationship. And even further to that, improving a relationship does not hinge on the other person's willingness to change. Yes, this is really true. I see it every day in my coaching. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how the hell do I work on my relationship on my own? Well, when one person manages their emotions, when one person gets into awareness of what they're thinking and feeling and questions it and chooses to respond and react in a different way, the dynamic has to change. No matter how thin you slice it, there are two sides. We are doing a dance of respond and react. And when you figure out your steps in the dance and change them, things are going to change. What I challenge you to do is do this for 6 months and find out. You'll find out where your relationship really is at if you give this a go for 6 months. And if it doesn't change, that's pretty valuable information that I would want to have. And if this has you thinking, as it does for most people, it's very normal to go to, why the hell should I do everything? The answer is that you don't. You just go first. Improving any relationship begins with one person deciding to initiate change. And I just want to offer to you, when you are sitting in the result of a happier, healthier relationship, you really do not care who went first. I promise you, no one cares. They're just so happy that they took that first step. And I do get it. I understand. When someone you love hurts you, it is hard to look at them with compassion. When you feel like you've been dumped on or you've been criticized and dismissed, it's hard to feel compassion. And it can feel like doing so invalidates your own feelings or might even encourage more bad behavior. But in actual fact, holding on to this is holding on to this hurt keeps you stuck. You're definitely not growing together and you're not moving forward on your own either. And the interesting thing about taking accountability first is that it creates a safe space for others to follow. It doesn't dismiss your own feelings, but it might just open up the door for your loved ones to connect with their feelings. And how I help my people have the courage to go first is with this understanding. These are life skills. When you have these skills, you are far more emotionally resilient and emotionally confident, regardless of what life is throwing at you. You make much better choices and decisions when you're not making them to feed an identity that doesn't serve you or to manage your emotions. And that means you put in boundaries with ease. You communicate so much more effectively. You will first use these skills in your intimate and family relationships, and then you will use them everywhere else too. These skills create fulfilling, happy, and successful lives. So that is it. That is the end of the training. Now, I'm going to answer all your questions now. So if you haven't already, put your questions in the Q&A box. Only I will see them. Please put as much detail as possible in there, and I'm going to give you plenty of advice and feedback. So before we do that, first of all, I've got a special offer for you. And that is, if you would like to take a deeper dive into this, let's chat. I offer a free consultation call. There is no charge for this call. And in this session, I will apply these skills to your specific and unique set of circumstances. We will look at where you are now in this relationship, where you want to be, and how coaching with me will bridge the gap between the two. And if this resonates, at the end of the session, we can discuss all the specifics of what it would look like to work together. So you have an email sitting in your inbox right now. Go to that email right now and simply hit reply to get that session scheduled with me. Okay. Here we go. Right, let's have a look. Okay, right. Okay, so let's have a look. I get frustrated with my husband. He will often find reasons why not to help with the housework and find other jobs to do that are less important. We all live in the same house. Everyone makes the mess. Okay, so what is going on here is clashing belief systems. So I call this operating manual. We all have this life operating manual. So do you remember I told you we're like junkyards collecting this stuff up? We create this operating manual that we use to guide for life, okay? And so here I see your operating manual. The housework is the most important thing, okay? And there is your belief, and it feels like a fact. But it isn't. It's just your opinion. And your husband does not share this opinion. He's doing other jobs that he thinks are more important. Okay. So when you go to your partner and say, you're doing this on purpose to avoid doing this, and this is the most important thing, you shouldn't be doing this. What you're doing is you're presenting your opinion as a fact. And when you do that, it's a fact he doesn't share. He's going to shut down. He's going to defend. He's going to say, no, this is just as important. And this is why. Okay. And then you're going to get into a debate about it. Which job is the most important job? Okay. So this is very normal. This is what we all do. So you can shift your communication to, listen, these jobs feel important to me for this reason. When they don't get done, it stresses me out. I feel like I'm being left to do all these jobs. Everyone's using the dishwasher, everyone's using the washing machine. Everyone needs their clothes washed, everyone needs their dishes washed. I feel like I'm being, I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just saying this is how I feel. I feel like I'm being left to do all of this. Okay. Can you help me out? And then you've got to hear why he thinks these other jobs are more important. And you've got to take on board his opinion. Okay. You've not got to go, no, you're wrong. These are the most important jobs. You've got to be open to hearing why he's doing that, why he hasn't done that. For him, maybe he doesn't realize, maybe he doesn't think they're important jobs. Okay. So when we present our facts as opinions, when we present the other way around, when we present our opinions as facts, it shuts down the conversation because the other person then argues about that. Is it a fact or not? And when you just say, hey, look, this is how I'm feeling. This isn't getting done. I feel like I'm being left to do it. What do you think? You'll open up a conversation. Okay. So, go back to those questions. I can go back to it. Okay. Here's another one. My partner flips out at the smallest things. Last week, I forgot to pick something up for the kids and on the way home, and my partner went crazy. Okay, so when the reaction is out of proportion to the moment in front of you, you have to go deeper. So this is an indication to me that there are bigger issues and your partner is clearly feeling stressed. Okay. And you have to lean in. You have to find out what's going on. And so if you take me up on that free offer of that call, I will help you go deeper here, and I will help you with the language that you need to use here to lean in and talk about this. And you have to go deeper. Okay, this is an indication of someone is feeling stressed and pressured, and you have to find out why. Okay, so got another one here about taxes, missed taxes. After years of being responsible for the finances, I handed over the taxes and my other half missed the deadline. Okay, so having a debate about whose fault it is that the deadline has been missed is going to get you nowhere. And so again, It's about slowing this down and understanding what is going on. And so being able to understand how the deadline got missed, and then going even deeper and looking at, you know, for values, rules, and beliefs around finances. Okay. So for one person, missing a tax deadline is the end of the world. And for another person, it might not be so important. So keeping the conversation out of right and wrong, and opening up the conversation. So you can open up the conversation with describing the situation, describing how you feel about it. You missed the tax deadline, and I cannot believe you did this. Okay, that versus I feel incredibly stressed that that the tax deadline was missed. Can we have a talk about this? Okay, and not trying to get someone to acknowledge they did something wrong. It's, one, pointless. Two, it's understanding how did this happen? How did this happen? What is the bigger picture here? So slow this down. And look deeper, look bigger at the bigger picture. What else is going on here? All right. And is your partner so busy that they've missed a tax deadline? And how does the information I've given you about someone's identity and how they're managing their emotions play into this? Okay, this can help you be compassionate, be open in your conversation about this. And again, please take me up on that offer of that session and I'll go through this with you. Okay, so is there any other questions at all? Please, if you've got anything at all, doesn't matter what it is, put it into the chat. Okay, so I'm so glad that you enjoyed this this class. Thank you so much for the lovely feedback. I'm really so pleased you're benefiting from it. You have an email in your inbox. Please just hit reply on that email. Ask me anything. I'm more than happy to respond to you and assist you with anything that you're dealing with. I've got loads of free content. I can provide you with extra materials. And book that session with me. Let's chat. If you're interested in this work, if you need some help, your next step is to get on the phone with me. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And I appreciate you trusting me to guide you through this subject. And I really hope it was helpful for you. Thank you.